Wolfenstein II, the new Colossus. Now this game released on the PS4, Xbox One, and Steam last fall, but for whatever reason it really didn't sell all that great. It was a fantastic game, it got a lot of critical appeal, people really seemed to enjoy it, but releasing a game in fall 2017 was a bit tricky, especially considering how many other great third-party games there were available. First-person shooters are a bit of a dime a dozen on the PS4 and the Xbox One. There's always your yearly iterations of games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, so these games can get sort of lost in the mix, and considering that Wolfenstein 2 was a single-player only experience, I could sort of see why some people may have been a bit turned off by that. But when it was announced for the Nintendo Switch, it sort of gave a second life to this game, because let's face it, the Nintendo Switch doesn't have many first-person shooter games. What really is there aside from Doom, which was of course done by id Software and ported by Panic Button, and Panic Button was in charge of bringing Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, to the Nintendo Switch. So I was curious to see how this game would be, because this is a big single-player experience. This is a large-scale PS4, Xbox One, and PC game shrunk down to the Nintendo Switch, so Panic Button really had their work cut out for them when it came to Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. Well, Bethesda sent over a review copy of the game for me to check out, and I've been playing it, and I could safely say that this is a pretty solid port of Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. But is it worth picking up on the Nintendo Switch? What does this game offer? How does it perform? And what should you be on the lookout for when it comes to this game? Sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, and see if you should add it to your Nintendo Switch collection.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards!
The story of Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, is one of the driving forces of the game. You play as a character named William Joseph Blazkowicz, who is a common character in the Wolfenstein universe. He has been around pretty much for most of the games, and the events from this game actually take place after Wolfenstein: The New Order, which was the first game in this sort of reboot for the Wolfenstein series. The game starts out and does give you background on how things got to be and how things are within the world, so there is a nice sort of introduction, as the original game did not come out on the Nintendo Switch. Now, the story of the game sort of starts out in reality, but then quickly just sort of spirals out of control. It gets very over the top. You go to very crazy locations and do very crazy things. It's definitely sort of rooted in a reality world, but it definitely expands upon that, sort of like an Indiana Jones style movie. A lot of things in Indiana Jones movies are very over the top and very unrealistic, but it's sort of rooted in reality. Now, of course, you're playing in America, and the Germans have won World War II, so it is a very different scene, and you are basically a part of a ragtag group of people who are trying to start a second American Revolution to rid the world of the German Nazis that are invading America. And it's a pretty cool story. I really enjoyed it. There was enough twists and turns to keep me engaged. There's a lot of awesome stuff that's definitely like a AAA action movie that happens within the game, and it really feels well written. The character dialogue is really good, and there's a lot of sort of backstory that you can find within the game itself that really fleshes out the story and brings everything to a head. I really enjoyed the story of this game. I thought it was very well written. All of the voice acting is top notch. It definitely has a very high presentation value when it comes to the story of this game. Now, of course, the main thing that I'm sure you guys are wondering is how this game performs, because like I said, this is a port of a PS4 and Xbox One game that released last fall. So this is a big game, a massive scale game, a first-person shooter game that's heavy on adventure. You're going to different locations and going to all sorts of different places, so performance was going to be very key for this game. How did the graphics fare compared to the PS4 and the Xbox One? Well, I could safely say that they did a very good job with this game. Panic Button obviously knows how to get the most out of the Nintendo Switch, and I think it really shows in this game. It looks like in dock mode the game runs at about 720p 30 frames per second. Now, I'm not a resolution expert or a, P expert or whatnot, but that's just the sort of the feeling I get. And for the most part, the frame rate is very consistent and solid. I did notice a few dips here and there, but really nothing too bad, nothing really worth, freaking out about. I think the performance of the game is pretty solid. There's a lot of dynamic scaling in this game as well, which basically means that from a distance things may look blurry, and when you get up to them, things get clearer and clearer. And it's definitely a trick that Panic Button used with Doom, and they're revisiting this again with Wolfenstein 2, and I think it works for the most part. It looks really good, and there's a lot of awesome set pieces that look really impressive. Now, I must say that the indoor environments, the more close quarters corridor environments definitely look better than the open environments in my opinion. Some of the open environments look a bit drab, and they're just, you know, some low resolution polygons and stuff. It's nothing terrible, but it is worth noting. You will sort of notice things from time to time. Now, in docked mode, I felt that the game, like I said, ran very solid. There's a lot of impressive effects going on as well. I noticed when you would shoot certain characters, their limbs would fly, and it seemed like it was in real time. There's sort of real-time destructible environments as well. Little things that I wouldn't have even thought of, like pillars where you can individually break pieces of the pillar. Very impressive stuff. There's a lot of nice lighting in the game as well. It looks like some dynamic lighting with dynamic shadows. A very impressive game in docked mode, I must say. It's pretty crazy to think that this is running natively on the Nintendo Switch, because Panic Button once again has done a fantastic job of bringing a AAA third-party title to the Nintendo Switch. Now in undocked mode, things get a little bit blurrier. We saw this with Doom, and it's definitely noticeable with Wolfenstein II. Like I said, there is a lot of dynamic scaling, but it's a lot more noticeable in portable mode than it is in docked mode. Some of the outdoor environments look a little bit rough. I remember there was one thing where you visit your childhood home, and that was pretty rough on the eyes. There was a lot of graininess going on, but like I said, it's not really terrible. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, this is a game that's pushing the Nintendo Switch pretty hard. It's definitely very playable and still very enjoyable in undocked mode. I played about half of the game in undocked mode, and I played about half of the game in docked mode. Yes, there is a downgrade in graphics going from docked to undocked, but it's still definitely playable. The frame rate is still very solid in undocked mode, so that is good in my opinion. You know, I'll take a little bit of hit in graphics to be able to play this game portably, and it still plays very, very well. Now, one of the things that I was pretty impressed with was the addition of gyro controls as well. This is something that a lot of people like when it comes to Nintendo products. Obviously, this was introduced in the Wii, and the gyro controls work very well in this game. I dabbled with them. I thought they were very fluid and fun. You can adjust certain things to make the gyro controls more tailored to your needs as well. So all in all, very good on the gyro controls. I wasn't a huge fan of gyro controls back in the day. I played some Call of Duty games and really got into the gyro, but as time has gone on, I prefer the dual stick mode, but the gyro is there if you are interested in that. Now, one thing I really like about the game that I mentioned earlier is the audio within the game. This is some top-notch voice acting, and it really brings everything together. Environments sound very clean and crisp. The enemy voices are very clear. There's a lot of dialogue within this game, and I thought it was really well done. I was very impressed with the amount of presentation put into this game.
I don't trust you, Blazkowicz. There's nothing saying you couldn't be wearing a mask made to look like William J. Blazkowicz to hide your alien space lizard facial traits. So, I need the password Grace gave you.
She didn't give me one.
Right. Off with the mask.
Now, as far as the game length is concerned, I know some people are concerned about this because there is no multiplayer aspect of the game. It took me about 17 hours to get my first playthrough through the game, and that was skipping some sort of side missions, and that was missing a lot of things. There's tons of different collectibles within the world. There's cards, there's gold to find, and I really like that about the game. It sort of encourages to go back and play through the game. You can also get weapon upgrades as you play throughout the game as well that sort of change up your style. You can really play this game very stealthily and do stealth combat kills and stuff like that. So it really sort of lends itself to multiple playthroughs, I feel. Also, slight spoilers, but there is a mode within this game that absolutely just brought a smile to my retro gaming face, and that was Wolfenstein 3D. So when you're on your U-boat with your team, you're looking around in the cabins and whatnot, and there's this little arcade machine with this game called Wolfenstein 3D, and it's basically a sort of pseudo port of the original Wolfenstein 3D that you can play. There's 6 different levels, a whole bunch of cool stuff, and I really enjoyed that. You can actually save your progress in it. I actually had an absolute blast playing that. It was so much fun. I was so happy that they included it in this game. Also, when you finish the main story of the game, the additional side missions do open up, so don't be too worried about the game length. You know, this is a single-player experience, sort of in vein of games like Super Mario Odyssey and God of War. Maybe not as long as God of War, but if you go into this expecting a first-person action-adventure game with heavy shooting mechanics and pretty much say this is a story-driven game, you're going to enjoy it. You know, there's nothing wrong with single-player games in my experience with the single-player games. Now, of course, we have to answer the question. Is Wolfenstein II, the new Colossus, worth it on the Nintendo Switch? I say it depends, and that may seem kind of strange because I've been very positive on this review. But honestly, if you're a multi-platform owner, I could definitely see why you would rather pick this up on the PS4 or the Xbox One, as the game is much cheaper nowadays. This is a full $60 release on the Nintendo Switch. You could pick up the collector's edition for less than that on the PS4 and the Xbox One. So if you're just looking to play Wolfenstein II, the new Colossus, and you don't really care about things that the Nintendo Switch offers, then definitely if you're a multi-platform owner, I would probably say it's probably better for your budget to pick it up on another console. However, if you are only a Nintendo Switch owner, I definitely feel this is a must-buy in my opinion. This is a fantastic game. There are not many games like this on the Nintendo Switch, and this game really is a testament to just how powerful the Nintendo Switch can be within the right hands. Panic Button is a fantastic company. I don't know how they do things like this because it honestly blows my mind that they're able to churn out such a AAA third-party experience on essentially a beefed up tablet. The gyro controls are great, the dynamic scaling works for the most part, the game looks fantastic in docked mode, a little bit rough around the edges in undocked mode sometimes, but all in all, a fantastic game. This is a game that I feel everyone should play. If you enjoy first-person shooters, if you enjoy adult-themed games, there's definitely not many of them on the Nintendo Switch, and this definitely finds a home on the Nintendo Switch. A really recommended game, in my opinion. Play it on any platform, I don't care, but a lot of people missed out on Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus last year, and that needs to be fixed. So check it out. A really solid game and a really fun game, in my opinion. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of Wolfenstein 2 if you plan on picking it up. Thank you for checking out this video. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel, and as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.